All right, so post game was fairly accurate. We were physical up front on defense, played really well. Offensively, we blocked considerably better in the second half. Some of the young guys we had playing started to get a little bit of feel for the speed of the game. Chuba played good. So we're on to a new group this week. Obviously, a completely different style of play, a very fast-paced spread attack for our defense. So they'll have to make adjustments as we move forward. Offensively, some similarities. Tech's playing 3 down and blitzing, just like everybody else in the country. So looking forward to a good week of practice and head out and get an early start on Saturday morning.
What has made the three-man front so popular? I understand in the Big 12, but everywhere else, why do you think the three-man front has become so popular?
The Big 12 has led the way offensively. It started about 10 years ago, and then defenses have recovered and are finding some answers to the offenses in the Big 12, and so they've revolutionized and brought back the three-man front that we played back with years ago. It's no different the defense when I was playing. They just took the 2 ends out who used to be big guys, put in small guys because everybody's playing with wide receivers. And so defensive coordinators are fighting back, and that's what you're seeing now.
You guys ran, I don't know how much, but fairly significant amount of three-man front the other night in a game where it was kind of a stop the run first type of situation. What made that work for you?
Well, there's a misconception on 3 down and 4 down that 3 down can't stop the run. The 3 down that we're seeing is based to stop the run. You have 2 guys playing inside the tackles. You have a nose guard, and you have 2 inside backers. You have 5 guys for 4 gaps. So it's to stop the run. And then your leverage players are based on run pass. It's the chess game out there, okay? So it's not necessarily 3 down to stop the pass. It's 3 down to stop the inside run, and then 1 extra player who can cheat in coverage and then become an eraser and rush the quarterback a little bit later.
Mike, the way you were playing defense Saturday night, when the linebackers walk down, I look out there and I think bear front. But to me, it was more of like that Okie 5-2 front that it was bear. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was saying. It's the same. The defense is the same as it was when I came into college in the mid '80s. They just took 2 guys out and put 2 small guys in and walked them out. And it's the same concepts. It's just turning a full circle.
How impressed are you with your linebacker play at this point?
I've been pleased. We're further along than I thought we would be. I'm a little careful to look in the sack now and say how good it is, but we're getting good play from 11, and dropping 20 down has been beneficial because 3's playing good. So we've been very fortunate. Depth has been an issue for a month. We're starting to overcome that a little bit now. 33 is getting back in there some. 16 is not into playing shape yet, but he's getting closer. So I feel much better now than I did a month ago.
Israel Antoine, how do you think he played second
He gets a little better each game. He makes plays. He's getting into playing shape. He was set out almost a year, 11 months to be exact, and so he's coming around a little bit and making plays. I'm sure glad he's on our team. His development in the strength conditioning facility with Rob Glass will really help him. I'm not sure that he got what he needed over the last year compared to what he's going to get here.
Big part of the success on defense was your 3rd down, stopping them on 3rd down, and that had been an issue earlier in the year. Just what did you see as the key to that?
Yeah, we talked about this at Oregon State about we had so many plays we couldn't get off the field, and we got off the field the other night. I think it was 1 of 13, and so defense plays 58 plays. If they convert 5 of 13, then you're going to be close to 80 plays. You'll be 75 plays or more. So you stop them on 3rd down, you get off the field.
Does the defensive line sort of fall in the same category you're talking about, the linebackers maybe exceeded expectations to this point?
A little different in that we've had the depth. Tyler's been out a little bit, but we just didn't have any experience other than Cam Murray. Nobody ever played. So they're coming along. They're not I don't know that we're getting the results from them that would be a surprise like the linebacker position, but they're getting better. It's just there is no fast forward button for experience, and so our concern now is their mental capacity in a college football season, if they can stay strong mentally and not get fatigued. That's always the issue you run in with immature players and players that don't have experience. So far, they're holding up at this point.
You mentioned linebackers earlier. Is there anything to update with Calvin Bundage?
I don't have anything on him. I told you when I did, I'd let you know.
Mike, you've got Tylen going in the first quarter. You have 5 catches, 6 if you count the one that didn't count. Is that something K-State allowed you to do a little bit more, or is that a concerted effort by you guys to say, let's get him in position?
Both. I mean, we always take a guys, when we were lucky enough to have multiple guys, we say we got to get them going in the game. I think every coach does that. They allowed that to happen early, and then they took that guy and they played him over the top of him from pretty much the second quarter on and allowed us to rush the ball a little bit more effective.
You put him in the backfield at once. How did that come to be?
Well, it didn't come out good. Sure liked it in practice, but it was not the result we were wanting. We were looking forward to him running in and scoring. We blocked it incorrectly.
Assuming safeties pay attention to him moving forward, what is the window of opportunity for you guys to counter that to get him, despite what coverage they're playing him, to get him involved? I mean, how much can you do?
Tylen?
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. I mean, it becomes a numbers game, and so if they want to play 3 over 2 on top of him, it's hard to get the ball out there. Particularly with a young quarterback trying to force the issue. It wouldn't be smart football.
Did you just not see an opportunity? And I know it's a stupid question because the way Chuba was playing, you wanted him to carry as much as possible. And LD had a better night the other night, but are you curious about Desmond and Jamil still?
LD ran better. He got east and west on this field, north and south on most other fields, but he's moving forward. He dropped his pads. He was aggressive. He didn't stutter around with his feet, so he improved. The other guys are getting consistent work in practice. It's just hard to take Chuba out right now. So when he's in the game and then LD gets his and he was running better, it's just hard to get to down the line guys right now. When he's on the field, we're a different football team, and so just justification for that is not really in place.
Anything with your offensive line, first of all, as far as the guys who were injured, and then kind of did film show you what you thought as far as how the young guys played?
After the first quarter, after the delay, played better. But, we had 4 guys playing a new position, so it was a little bit grab bag there for a while. They played to the speed of the game much better in the end of the third quarter and fourth quarter than we had earlier. So it's a learning experience for all of us. It's not something I'd highly recommend for coaches, but Coach Dickey did a nice job. The kids played hard, made some mistakes, got beat on some upfield rushes. But overall, they improved. They were better at the end of the game than we were when we started.
Do you anticipate the same 5 guys?
Don't know yet. Not sure.
You talked about how Sterling has been playing well. What has he been doing well on the field to this point?
He processes information really good, thinks fast, and reacts. Very important in today's game. He plays a position where they can get their eyes violated, run pass. That's what people do now with the RPOs. You hear that term being used. He's come a long way. He's been a steady player for us, and he's a player of our game for our defense in the last game. Made some really good plays. Seems to be in the right spot most of the time. I'm excited about the improvement he's made in just 1 year.
Having him, kind of make that decision a little easier for you to move Rodriguez down.
Well, it allows us to keep him down. So if you move 20 down and 3's not playing good, now you have to think about moving him back and then going a different route at linebacker.
In Texas, I think Rye came in at guard. When was the decision made to switch him and Johnny?
Say that again. At Texas, what now?
Rye Schneider
Schneider,
came in
Johnny.
at guard, and then against
Well, we
Kansas
had
City.
Tevin playing and Galloway was playing, and then Galloway went out, and then Tevin went out. So then it became musical chairs.
Did you feel that move? I mean, Johnny's been a really good center for you, but did you feel that balancing out kind of the experience and inexperience was beneficial?
No, made me nervous.
After the game, did you feel it was?
It made me nervous before, and it makes me nervous now. We all know that continuity in years of service at those 5 guys is very beneficial. And when you move him around, it's not the same. People say, well, he's an offensive lineman. It's not the same. Bryce went from playing guard to left tackle. It's not the same. You can tell by looking at the salary structure of the NFL left tackles compared to the NFL right guards. And it's the same for college, maybe even worse. So was I nervous? Sure I was. Am I nervous now? Sure I am.
Was Johnny big leadership-wise for that units of work the other night, though? Gleason was talking about he could hear him calling out stuff over the headset a lot.
Yeah, we promised him 4 tickets to a heavy metal concert this summer, and he bought into it, said he'd make the change. So Johnny's Johnny. He's good. You know, he loves OSU. He's a typical blue-collar, hard-nosed, cowboy culture guy. You tell him to do whatever, he'll do it. He just loves playing football.
What do you think of Hunter Anthony, too, in his first start?
He did good. At times, early in the game, he had some issues. You know, the last time he played, he was playing at Tuttle. So it's a big difference. That 56 for them is a good player. He's active, makes plays. 91, I think, is the other guy that lined up on him some. He can create some issues. And so I think the game moved really, really fast for him, and then it started to slow down a little better. Toward the end of the game, when we were rushing the ball straight ahead, he was pretty good. He is a big guy. He's got a mean streak in him. He loves to play football. He's tough, seems to be competitive, and those are great qualities for an offensive lineman. Inexperience is not one. There's nothing we can do to change that at this time. But as the game went on, he's kind of liked to play, and he realized that he can hold up a little bit.
You mentioned the mean streak. I was going to ask. He seemed like he was getting kind of fiery out there.
He's got that in him, yeah. He's got a little history, and he likes to do that, but that's what it takes to play in the offensive line. He got the penalty at the end of the game. We broke the huddle, I believe, 2 plays before, and I asked him, I said, I need 3 things from you guys. 1, I need a good snap. 2, I need good ball security. And 3, I don't want a penalty. That's all I ask, and then basically the game's over. 2 plays later, he got a penalty. And that gives you an example, building you an illustration of what it's like with dealing with young players. He already had the guy blocked. You go back and look at it on TV or on tape. He already had the guy blocked. The guy was on outside leverage. He was in great position. Chuba was over there. He's going that direction. And he slung him to the ground. He didn't need to do anything. All he needed to do was finish his block or just stand there. But he's got a little bit of that in him, and he learned. We talked to him about it. We discussed it. It bothered him more than anybody, but that's how you learn. He won't do it next time. So I like that we don't have to push him in the fight. We have to pull him out. He just needs to learn to temper himself and understand and be a more disciplined football player.
You mentioned in the past that before the season you asked your offensive coaches kind of rank your guys and how they need to get the ball and whatnot. 5 games in this year, where would you rank those top maybe 3 or 4 guys, and is it different from maybe what it was at the beginning of the season?
Well, you have Chew and Wallace that are going to be at the top of the list, and then you've got your receivers. You have 17 is there and 1 is there. We're getting good play from X, 12, and 35 and those guys, but the ball hadn't gotten to them very much. They're not doing anything that's disappointing. They've actually improved considerably, and they need to get the ball more than they have. But I think most everybody would agree that it's important right now that 30 gets his touches and 2 gets his touches.
What do you anticipate from Tech offensively? Because they went in with 2 quarterbacks last Saturday after Bowman was hurt. And kind of today on the conference call, Matt Wells said it's going to be Duffy going forward. What do you anticipate with them offensively?
They're going to run their plays. They like to get the ball out of their hands quick. It's a short passing game. They have a running game that they believe in out of the spread offense, and they like to throw it deep every 6 to 7 plays if possible. They don't chunk it down the field, and they want to play extremely fast. They're trying to snap the ball at 31 seconds or more, which is faster than what we play. And I'm guessing they'll use their read zone, running zone, quarterback read package and throw the ball out, flip it out on bubbles and quick screens. To me, that's what they want to do.
Coach Gundy, did you notice anything different in Spencer after watching the game that maybe you didn't see during the game?
Not really. He didn't throw the ball as well as he would have wanted to. For whatever reason, I don't know. If I knew, we would have put a plan in place prior to that. But he's still ultra competitive. You know, he would like to run the football more. We're in somewhat of a preventative measure there to protect him as much as possible. And he just continues to get better at each game. He's going to make mistakes. You have to live with that when you have a young quarterback. But as long as he competes and has the work ethic and leadership that he's showing up to this point, he'll improve each game.
How was he seeing the field, Mike? Spencer, how's he seeing things?
About like a guy who's played in 5 games would see it. Further ahead than most kids, but obviously not like what Mason would see.
I don't know how much of that is, if a kid either has vision or not, or how much of that is enhanced by either experience or coaching.
How much of what?
Vision. Vision is something I wonder if some guys may just have that in them to see things that others don't.
Well, all the athletes at every position have ability to process information differently. Quarterback is unique. We've had quarterbacks that I'm trying to think. You know, Mason started to get it about midway through his second year. You know, if you remember back with him, he would have some games he was really good, and then he'd have games we'd come in here and he didn't play very good. And that's kind of what you're talking about. I can vaguely remember going through things like that myself, and sometimes there's not really a reason why. Just things bother you, and then sometimes it's clear as day. But he's doing very well for where he is in his career. He's got a very bright future. Is he the finished product? By no means no at this point.
The more experience he gets, the better he'll see.
Yeah, just the more vision, just to, you know, anything else you do, the more you do something, you know, new video game comes out, and the more you play it, you're a lot better. I mean, it's really the same thing, same concept. Did you ever play Donkey Kong?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like when you started on Donkey Kong, you could never get past the elevator lever. Well, yeah, Frog or Defender. But really, Donkey Kong's a better example because you know you had the barrels, and then you had the structure, and then the third level was the elevators, and that third jump you had to make to get up to get over. It took a while, but after you did it, you know, 50, 60 times, you could make that jump, and then you were set. You had a chance to set the high score. It's that jump. It was that jump. You know, the timing that you had to have.
At the elevators yet?
No, he's on the barrels. No, I'm joking. He's not on the barrels. The barrels is easy. That's the easy one, you know. That's where you. But anyway, we'll get off Donkey Kong. He's doing fine. He's on the structure now, and he's conquering that, and he's working to get to the elevators, and he's probably past the first jump. The second one's not as bad. The third one's the tough one.
Have you been playing Donkey Kong recently? This seems very vivid in your mind.
I do, yes, I do. I'm a closet Donkey Kong guy, so. Well, because when you compete with your, you don't have kids old enough, right? Well, my kids are old enough, and I can't compete with them in any of the games they play. So I have to try to get them to play Donkey Kong periodically because I'm pretty good at Donkey Kong. What's that?
Gage or Gunner or both?
Gunner doesn't even play video games anymore. It just Gage. Yeah, there used to be a Godfather's Pizza on Reno Avenue in Midwest City, and I'd ride my bike up there and play Donkey Kong all the time, set the high score. Can you imagine that kids riding their bikes? Nowadays, nobody rides a bike anywhere. Isn't that amazing? All right, let's talk about tech. We're off on all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Chuba Hubbard. Somebody made the comment today to me that he should be the top non-quarterback on the Heisman ballot. Can a running back win the Heisman anymore?
Oh, sure. I think so. I think it's just comparable to numbers from the past. I mean, that's all we have to go on is I don't have any idea, but I'm gonna say they're gonna compare him to whoever won the last Heisman that was running the ball. What were his numbers? What was his numbers? Yards per carry, things like that. I would say that would be the direction they would go.
See that type of back that could do that?
I mean, he has been up to, if you ever go to horse races and you bet on a horse and he's winning and he's still, it's only halfway and you hear people yell, stop the race right now, I win. Well, if you stop the race right now, he's in good shape, but we got a long ways to go. He's got to stay hungry. He's got to stay humble, got to continue to work hard. That has not been an issue with him up to this point. So if he starts to read his press, think he's pretty good, back off in practice, he won't be as good. I don't think he'll do that. If he stays strong, if he stays humble, he'll do just fine.
I think it was 2015 or 16. You were just hoping that as a team you guys could get 100 yards rushing. What went into where you guys are now, where you have one guy almost getting 300 yards rushing?
I'm surprised you remember. Were you even driving then? Huh? Barely. That is true. I just wanted. You were right. I wanted 4 yards of carry. I just wanted 100 yards, and I love to rush the football. Some of my quarterback buddies give me a hard time about it, but I enjoy rushing the football and pounding teams. I really like that part of the game. So it's enjoyable for me to watch the progress that we've made just over the last couple years.
You wanted to talk about Texas Tech. It looks like the stronger part of their defense, at least so far, with Matt Wells, has been their run defense. It's passing that has kind of hurt them.
Yeah, and you see it. Again, so much of it early in the year, early in the season is based on who they played. We need about another month of seasoning for all of us to kind of decide who's good at stopping or who's good at executing certain things. Some of it could be based on teams that you've played up to this point, but their run defense has been very good up to this point.
I've done a lot of film on the quarterback. What did you see in his limited action against OU?
You talking about the second one?
Yeah, Duffy.
Well, he played last year. Yeah. So run around a little bit, and they like to. I think they're going to do some read stuff with him, and they want to throw screens. They want to throw bubbles, get the ball out of his hand quick. They like to throw the inside game, slants and such, and then throw it down the field. They want to play real fast.
You obviously the red zone stuff has been frustrating, but how beneficial has it been to have Matt Amendola being as consistent as he's been?
He's played well. Makes it it kind of eases the pain a little bit. We've been poor from the 15-yard line in, and that's one of the areas that we've talked about in the summer. The college game has changed a lot in the last couple of years, and it's so important to score and not kick field goals. Our plan at Texas wasn't very good. Our plan last week was good. We just didn't execute it. So we've got to find a happy medium. You're not going to be able to keep kicking field goals and win games in this league. You're eventually going to get outscored. That's just my guess. So we'll work to improve it, come up with the best plan possible, give our players the best chance, and see if we can execute.
With the kickers, it's hard for average people to figure out what a guy's doing right or wrong. But can you tell things that he's done to make himself more consistent?
I have no clue what they do mentally, physically. I don't have any idea what they do. I know those guys, I've said before, your kickers, your punters, your holders, your snappers are the most dedicated guys on your team because they practice on their own. We do our practice. They come in the stadium and they do everything on their own. They have a 45 to 50-minute routine each week or each day, 3 days a week, and nobody's really watching them. And they're dedicated and they do it all the time. They have the students go out there and video them, and we have coaches that meet with them and try to correct them. I don't think anybody knows. I think they just say stuff to make them feel better. But they have to perfect their own art, and that's what they do. Those guys are dedicated, and so, they do good. You just leave them alone, Like Coach Holder said, don't look in the sack. Just let them go.
How have you seen Tom Hutton progress throughout the season?
Just based on playing American football. He's better in the last game he was in the first game, and you can tell his progression, him getting a feel for catching a ball and people running at him when he's kicking or punting, and then locations on the field, different things. He's improving. He's 29 years old. He's married, but he's never played American football, so he's still very immature when it comes to being a good punter at this level. At this time next year, he should be really good, just based on the experience and reps and all the different things that he's able to get the training up to this point.
You got the Cowboy backs involved in the red zone there tonight. Logan Carter, the Metcalf had that touchdown call back. You feel a little bad the Metcalf gets a chance like that and it goes away in that way?
Yeah, those guys are very selfless players. They're like offensive linemen to a certain extent, so it's nice to get them the ball and make some plays. They need to get the ball more. They're good football players. The way that our schemes and people have defended us has not allowed us to get them the ball as much as we need to. between 117 and the X's, those cowboy backs, that we need to integrate them in our system more and give ourselves a chance to spread the ball around more, along with Chew and Wallace. Now, a lot of that depends on us getting to a 90-play game versus a 70-play game. Play a team that huddles up like we did last Saturday, you're not going to get as many plays compared to a team we're going to play this Saturday that's going to try to play ultra fast, I think.
Talk about them playing fast. You also mentioned that Tech kind of relies more on shorter throws and bubbles and things like that. Does that play into the fact that they can play faster because they're not sending guys downfield as much?
More so just, I'm guessing their base stuff. They're what most fans would call an air raid spread, and a lot of that is based on certain running schemes and quick throws out in the flat. Use the 52.5 yards wide of the field. That's what they seem to be at this time. I would say more of that than necessarily the depth of the routes.
Mike, the governor of California this morning signed into law the name, image, and likeness for that state. I don't think it takes effect for another 4 years. And yet that's the first major step toward what people think will be a movement toward that happening. Are you in favor of your athletes getting compensated off their name, image, and likeness?
I'm getting bad eyes from Danielle back there. She doesn't like when I talk about political issues, but here's the two things you get out of that. There's going to be attorneys make a lot of money on the federal and state level. That's one thing that's going to happen. And the second thing is I say pay them. If they've earned it, pay them. Let them go. Any coaches that are on there, is there a guy on there from in the last 4 or 5 years on the video game that's got a mullet? I say pay that guy. I mean, that's my likeness. I mean, there can't be another guy coaching with a mullet at Oklahoma State. So attorneys are going to make a lot of money, right? Federal level and state level as it progresses. Huh?
But you're okay with, you think they ought to have a right to if one of your guys can make $100,
Yeah, I don't know enough really to comment on it other than the money's not what people think it is. We discussed it, Robert and I did, because I think Clint Chelf got something. Didn't he get something a while back, like $12 or something, which is $12?
From the video game.
Yeah. So I don't know what the money is on it, but if they're using their likeness and if somebody's making a bunch of money on it and they want to, reward the athletes some, I don't see a problem with that. The issue you have is, what if one state does it and a different state doesn't? Then what does the NCAA do? There's your attorneys on the state and the federal level making a killing. They're lined up out there just saying, hey, I love to take that case.
Obviously it'd be better if it was uniform, if the NCAA.
Yeah, and we all complain about the NCAA at times, but it has been uniform, right? I mean, if speed limit's the speed limit, and that's the one great thing about this country is, for the most part, we try to stay uniform. We all follow the same laws. Well, the NCAA, people complain about it, but they have done that, and the system's in place. You got to be careful about getting out of your box, because what is California going to be different than Oklahoma? I mean, does that affect recruiting? Sure it does. Are they just going to have a California state championship and they're not going to play for the national championship? I don't know. It's all way over my head. But again, I go back to the attorneys will be lined up for it. And the players get a chance to make a little money, pay them a little money. I don't see a big deal in that. Good? All right, thanks.